No.
All right, hello, everyone. Call to order for the July Fitchburg Public Library Board meeting. Public appearances.
I don't have anybody here, and I haven't heard from anyone.
All right, awesome. Item number 3, approval of minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the May 2024 draft minutes?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you, John. Any discussion, questions, comments? All right, if there are none, all in favor of approving the May 2024 agenda minutes, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions?
I have to abstain. I wasn't here.
Yep.
Thank you. Cool, motion carries. Number 4, so we have different months. Do we need to approve these all in one go or?
We can do it
separate?
all in one go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can I get a motion to approve the March 2024 financial register, April 2024 financial register, and April 24 financial overview?
Sure, I'll do that.
Thank you, Toby.
Motion to approve.
All right, and then I'll run through a couple of things before we vote. If we're looking at the March register of bills, you'll note that it was a 3-paycheck month, so expenses were a little bit higher. We see that twice a year. As long as it all comes out at the end, we're good. There were a couple of charges for PLA. You'll see more of those in the April register. You'll also see we needed an outreach van battery. We actually had a flat tire when we took it in to have the tire fixed. The battery died, which was real fortuitous. Just put a new one in it, so that worked out pretty well, timing-wise. Other thing, let's see. Account 355, so you'll see both Kiddens wooden chair replacements and youth reupholstery. So these were things that we had ordered late last year that didn't get here in time, so we did a carryover to pay for it. We have upholstered chairs all around the library, but the ones in children's get especially used hard. So we have 6 chairs. I was hoping to recover all of them. We got 4 of them done. Because costs for everything are just really high right now. So, but they look great. We're happy with them. Moving on to the April register, you'll see a lot of expenses for PLA. So that was Phil and I went to PLA in Columbus, Ohio. It was a really good conference. I think we got a lot out of it. Back to the van, you'll see that we had the $2,000 of repairs. So when we took it in for an oil change, they said the oil was just running right straight through it because we don't drive it enough essentially. So this is where I'm tooling around town in the van now. But not for the summer. I get summer off. Minda takes care of it. Looking at accounts 350 and 355. 350 glycol pump. So when we replaced the chiller, we had to replace all of the glycol in the system. We have an overflow barrel of glycol that has a hand pump on it that we can move in and out of the in-floor system. And that we had that since we opened for the old system, so we had to replace that. And then the sorter room ladder. So the new sorter, I think have we all seen it? So the input is up much higher. So it used to be just kind of a conveyor belt, and if something got hung up on it, we could just kind of grab it with a step ladder. The new one, you really have to like lean over and reach in, and we had, I think, an 8-foot ladder in there, and people felt real wobbly on it. So we invested in like a retail ladder that has like a platform on it, and when you step on it, it secures itself so it can't move, so that you can lean over and get into it. So that was kind of an investment at $500, so, but I think worth it, safety-wise. So I think that's everything from the register. If we look at the overview, so this is for March and for April. A few things. The city administrative fee did come out in March. I asked them to take that out just in one amount. They used to do it quarterly, but it didn't always happen quarterly, and then it looked like we had a lot of money towards the end of the year, and I would rather it just be
My
done.
question is that was
Yeah.
for the year.
Yes, that's for the whole year, yeah. You'll see some of these other ones, so the IT allocations, they take it out monthly. I think that works better for them, but they pre-schedule it, so it always comes out on time. When we were doing it quarterly with the admin fee, sometimes it came out, sometimes it didn't, so. You'll also notice under interest income that is going well for us again this year. We're at $32,000. we budgeted for 2. So that's fantastic. That's money that will go into fund balance that we can use for our future projects. So that is good to see. Any questions on any of these documents?
On both of them, salaries, wages, overtime, all that stuff, that's all dated for January 31st. On both of them, I don't,
Oh. It is. We have to update that. Thank you.
Oh, yeah,
I did not notice that at all. Excellent. We will fix that.
Who didn't do that?
I mean,
Wait a minute.
it's pretty easy to go to the overview and be like, okay,
Yeah.
these things like line up to where they should be,
Yeah,
but
yep.
Awesome,
No.
thanks for catching that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll
absolutely.
get that fixed up.
Yep,
thank you.
excellent. Anything else? All right.
Cool.
We can vote to approve.
All in favor of approving the March and April financial registers and overviews, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Number 5, unfinished business. I believe there is none.
That's correct.
Number 6, new business, policy reviews for, well, we got several of them, so I guess
Yeah.
first one.
Let's hold off on that for a minute. Tegan's going to do a presentation just about her department,
All right, awesome.
and then we'll move into the policies.
Yep, thank you.
All right. So my department is the Adult and Technical Services. I have 4 staff members. There's 2 part-time librarians, Erin and Rebecca. And then we also have 2 part-time library assistant twos. Right now, we just have Cora, and the other position is currently open, and we'll be interviewing for that next week. So excited about that. So kind of split it up between the 2. So adult services, we staff the reference desk here on the 2nd floor. So we do a lot of computer and printing help, outer library loan items, anything more involved reference questions. We had kind of a fun one last week of this woman looking for a book that was published before 1940 and like some vague details about it. So we all kind of shared in the search for that. We don't even know if we found the right one, but it was fun. And then we also handle the meeting room reservations and any questions that people have about the meeting rooms while they're here using them, if there's any troubleshooting or anything like that.
Again, what are the requirements to be a library assistant too?
That is a bachelor's degree.
Yeah.
Bachelor's degree in library science or just?
Nope.
No, anything.
Okay, thank you.
And customer service experience.
Yes.
Is the other thing we look for.
Definitely need that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, and then we also select materials for the adult collection. So I do the adult nonfiction items. Erin does the fiction, and then Rebecca does our AV. So she does the audiobooks, music CDs, DVDs. And then we've also added Overdrive Advantage, so she adds additional audiobooks for our patrons on there. So,
The best part of being a librarian is ordering all the new stuff.
yes. And then we also plan the adult programming. We have several book clubs that are going on and have been pretty popular. Then we also have kind of a miscellaneous items going on, some craft programs. And then we also work with Beyond the Page. We have some grant money that we get from them and some more larger collaborative grants. So one we had recently was Angela Puerta. She is Columbia Music. And then we also had Mark Moran, who did antique appraisals.
Yeah. Always a popular one.
Yeah. And then we also manage displays throughout the library. We have one on the 1st floor and then on the 2nd floor. Do that. And then we also sort through all the donations that come into the library and see if something we want to add to our collection or move on to the friends. So that's kind of the adult services half of it. And then the other is the technical services. And so that is where I manage all the funds in Get It. That's our acquisitions module. So that's where we track all our orders, receive the items, and do invoices, credits, and keep track of all of that throughout the year. And then we also add and edit catalog records, so as the items come in, we add the barcodes into the system, clean up any records that might have errors, or that have been lost for a while, and things like that. And then we also process all the new items, so depending on which vendor the items are coming from, they kind of need different levels of processing, but we add the spine labels, genre stickers, some of them get RFID tags, address labels, things like that. And that's kind of another fun part, because now you ordered all this stuff, now you get to look at all the fun new
You get to
stuff.
see it.
A lot of people say it's like Christmas up. on the-
Yeah.
opening all
We
the-
do have, most of the vendors do a fair amount of processing for us, so Mylar covers, we send them like location stickers and that kind of thing, so we do as much as we can, which is why the department is the size that it is. It would need to be much bigger if we were doing all that, and I think a lot of libraries do that themselves.
Yeah.
It requires a lot more staff time.
Yep. Yeah, and then we also manage the magazine subscriptions, so we have a number of those. We check in each, either weekly or monthly, and get those ready to go out. So that is the brief overview of adult and technical services.
Excellent, thank you, and we'll take a tour, for those of you that are here, we'll take a tour after the meeting, for anybody that's interested. Excellent, so now we can move on to policies, and we'll want to take these individually, I think, to discuss.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the collection management, or sorry?
Yeah,
I guess we're
that's
not,
it.
we're
Yep.
approving it before we review it?
Let's just get a motion.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the collection management policy?
Sure, I'll do that.
Yep, thank you.
All right, and then we'll discuss.
We just had one change under the patron requests, and we just added in the purchase request forms may only be completed for items that have already been published. We've been getting requests for items that haven't been published yet that we're probably going to order anyway, so just kind of streamlines the process.
People think they can get on the hold list sooner if they ask us to buy, like, the next Avengers movie that obviously we're going to buy multiple copies of. So that doesn't really help anything. If all the libraries do that, then everybody ends up with a different record, and they have to, it's a mess.
Yeah.
So it has to exist before we can.
Yes. Before we can consider it.
Yes,
yep.
yes.
I've 100% been guilty of that. Like, oh, I know this book is coming, like, let's put in the request right away.
If it's
So-
something that nobody's heard of,
Yeah.
that might be a good idea.
Sure.
Yeah. And just a reminder, so this is really the policy that we need to have so that if someone challenges, we've had some school districts in Wisconsin and some libraries get lists of like 400 items that people are challenging. So they're getting a list from a national organization. They haven't read them, they're kind of following instructions. So this really helps us in that it can be one, you have to be a Fitchburg resident, you have to do one at a time, you have to, have read the book and specifically say what you think the issues are. So this protects us in a lot of ways if we should get any of that. So
Do you anticipate any future challenges here?
I don't, we haven't had any. We've had a couple that I think I've shared have been actually helpful. We've had some things that were really outdated or culturally insensitive that I agreed with and we took out of the collection. But I think it is happening more and more. I think there were more challenges in 2023 than there have been in decades in this country. So I think it's always a possibility. I think because we have a really tight policy, it's less likely. So somebody can't come in from another community and say, I want you to take all your stuff off the shelves. So
that was for the retention, or sorry, the reconsideration form?
So that'll be the next one we'll
Okay,
do.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
and-
okay, there's a section there. for
Yeah,
that.
and
Okay,
just
yes,
to
yes.
note that we also do link to the Library Bill of Rights, ALA Freedom to Read Statement, ALA Freedom to View Statement. So we're using our national resources from the American Library Association to back up the decisions that we've made in this policy. Yeah. So any questions? If not, we can vote on that one.
All right, if not, all in favor of approving the collection management policy, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right, next item, item A2, the reconsideration form. Can I get a motion to approve the updates to the reconsideration form? I will move.
Thank you. All right.
All right, we just had one change on that one, this one as well, and we just removed question 4, which is what titles would you suggest as an alternative? We just didn't feel like it fit well with this form, and we do have the purchase request forms that they can complete if there is an item that they feel would work better for a collection or would like.
In the few that we have received, people, I think, have been kind of stumped by this, like they don't necessarily have.
Yeah.
And I really think that's our role to find something, right? Like
Yeah, sure.
the eating disorder book that we took out, like that's our job, not their job, so,
Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
Makes sense. Cool. Any other questions or discussion for the reconsideration form? If not, all in favor of approving the updated reconsideration form, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion passes. And number 3, the photocopy and copyright policy. So can I get a motion to approve the updates to the 2024 photocopy and copyright policy?
I will
I'll
move
make
to.
that motion.
Thank you, John. Okay, yeah.
And there are no changes on this.
Yeah.
This ties for the most boring policy we have with record retention,
Yeah.
but we still need it, so.
Cool. Any questions, comments, concerns? If not, all in favor of approving the photocopy and copyright policy, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
Abstentions? Motion carries. And next item on the new business is the 2025 budget. So is this something we need to?
Yes, let's have a
approve?
motion and
Yeah.
then I'll go over it.
Let's get a motion to approve the 2025 budget.
I'll motion to approve it.
Thank you,
I make a
Toby.
motion, okay.
So Wendy, I have a question.
Yes,
On actually, it's the first item up there.
yeah,
Personnel costs for the library board members.
Yes.
You have it down at $25 per meeting, but I did not take the stipend, but for the president, it's $35. So I don't know if that
oh.
messes up your,
I will look into that. I think when we decided, so it used to be that the library board donated all of their stipends to the library, and we decided a few years back that we should give people the option. And at that point, we decided we should just budget for the full amount. But I don't know that that's
full
counted for,
amount
so
would be
I will
a
look
little
into
bit
that.
higher.
Yeah, thank you.
Then Patrick can go to Culver's for the flavor of the day.
I also donated mine, so. But I did not know that there was a higher one. Maybe I would have reconsidered if I known it was
that extra $10.
$35.
You can change your mind at any time. So I'll just go over a few things. This is very early days in the budget process, as most of you are aware, but the rest of you will get used to. We bring this to you in July so that you have seen it before it goes to the finance department, the mayor, or council, because the statute does say that you need to be in control of all the library's expenditures. It is not ever going to be balanced at this point because it's just too early in the process. We are lucky this year that we did get personnel expenses in sooner than usual, so the insurance numbers here are accurate. We're usually guessing at those at this point. So that's good. It's good, but it's also, right, there's some kind of steep increases here. And just to remind everybody that there are levy limits, so there's only so much the city can increase taxes in a year, and that does not keep pace with any of the increases that we're seeing, either for insurance or for just goods and services that we're purchasing. At the top, you'll see, I'm looking at this, at the Excel document. You'll see that we're looking at a 2.8% increase. That is, I believe, 1.9% net new construction that is expected. That is not a final number until, I believe, August or September. The rest of it is a TID increase, so a TID closed, and we got a portion of that as an increase. This is lower than we've seen in the past for net new construction. That is completely based on what is being built in Fitchburg, and while it feels like things are going up all over the place all the time, it really just varies year to year. So it depends on what closes at what time. So it's always going to be kind of a big challenge. If we go down through other revenue, so the revenue from the county, I think I've given everybody a heads up about this, but that is going down 25,000. That is because of cross-municipal use. So we have a lot of Fitchburg patrons that are using the Verona Library, and we're having to pay for each item that gets checked out there, and we're not having very much of the return business. That's concerning. I've always said that I don't want to depend on that as a big stream of revenue because it is. I mean, that can change year to year all the time, so that can go up and down. I'd rather not depend on it. I do think that the library should be funded by the city, a majority of it, but that's still going to hurt us a little bit going down. There is a potential that we could see an additional $8,000 from the county as a reimbursement for programming. So we do the cross-municipal, cross-township use, but they also reimburse us for facility use. So they take the square footage of our building and they apply a rate that is a rate that they would pay to rent a facility, and we get reimbursed for that. So that's in that 49,000 number that's already incorporated. The Dane County Library director has proposed that they do the same kind of thing for programming, since we spend so much of our time doing programming. I think that would come out to about $8,000. It is not a sure thing yet. I'm gonna earmark it here. It sounds like the process is going well, so we'll see. And then there are other revenue things in here, donations, that are just not finalized yet. So we could see some increases there as well. Assigned fund balance, you'll see $200,000 there. So keep in mind, when we're looking at the bottom line for this, it looks like we're $283,000 overspent, but that $200,000 counts against that. So we're $83,000 in the hole at the moment, which we will fix by the time we get to the end of this process. So that $200,000 is why, and that is for the redesign of the second floor. So that is money that we've got in fund balance, we've got ready to go, kind of in our savings account. All right, going down through, 240 is one. So we have $19,000 in there. We used to budget over $30,000 in there. That's for work done by others and/or unexpected repairs. So you may have noticed the garage door is wide open, and it has been for weeks now. I'll talk about that later. So when things break and we need to fix them, we've had the elevator repair people out twice this week already, that kind of thing. We need money there. We've been pretty lucky this year in that we haven't spent a whole lot of that. We have some things kind of waiting on the back burner that need to be addressed, but we're waiting to see kind of how the end of the year goes. I feel like that is one of the only accounts that I have wiggle room in reducing it, but it terrifies me to do that because you just don't know what's coming. So that may go down if it has to. When we go through here, other contractual services, 290, there's almost no wiggle room in that. That is going to be our elevator contract, our contract with South Central for technology and the catalog, the meeting room software, there all sorts of stuff in there that just is not negotiable. Those typically go up 3 to 5% every year, again, with levy limits and us only getting a 2.8%. Like, the math just doesn't work here. For the entire city, and every municipality is facing the same thing. This is not unique to us, but just so you know sort of where this all sits. If we go down, one of the things that I have highlighted here is utilities. I was really hoping to be able to take some money out of utilities and reassign it based on getting a new chiller and getting the solar up and running. The solar product is not going well, so I don't know that we're going to be able to do that or not. We'll wait and see. We don't have the number of inverters that we were promised from the legal settlement, so I'm not sure where that's going to go. The collection, 387, is at 185,000.
I'm sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
I can't sit on these chairs, and
Okay.
standing is hard. I'm going to go home.
Do you want me to grab you a
But you
chair?
have-
Would like a task chair be better?
It has to be really cushioned.
Okay,
Otherwise, do you have a quorum? You have a quorum anyway.
we do. Do you want to go?
Then I'll go.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Thank you for coming, I appreciate it.
Sorry to interrupt everybody.
No, we don't want you to be in pain. Absolutely.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you. So $185,000 is what we spent on collections. It is probably the third lowest per capita expenditure in the county. It's a number that I find a little bit embarrassing. I would love to increase every budget cycle, I think. We're going to get more money in there, and then our revenue just doesn't increase as fast as our expenses. So that has been stable, I would say, for the past few years, and probably is not going to increase this year either. If you go onto the second page, there are some numbers here in yellow that are just not finalized yet, so we're waiting for some budget numbers from the IT department at the city to see what our costs are going to be there. Insurance numbers have not come in. So I'm kind of waiting on that to see where our bottom line ends up and then to see what I need to do to move things around. So I don't think we're in a worse place this year than we have been in the past. I know it looks bad. I hate to look at it at this stage because the math doesn't add up, but we will get there. So I will continue to bring this back to you as a draft until it goes to council in November. So
Okay.
any questions, any specific numbers on here that I can explain better?
Talking about the county payments, I know at one point we had talked about the town of Madison. And
Yes.
whether that was going to be something we could ever,
So Misty was going to ask if the county would reallocate funds. I will follow up with her. The last I heard,
no.
that was not looking
Sure.
promising. It's very unfair.
We took on several thousand people, you think?
Yeah. Yeah, that should come with some reimbursement. Okay. All right, then we should vote to approve.
So when we're approving this, this is just an approval for the draft?
Just for the draft.
As it stands?
Yes,
Okay.
knowing that this will change as we go.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, motion to approve the draft of the 2025 budget. All in
Make
favor?
that motion.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye. Aye.
All opposed? And abstentions? And motion carries.
Excellent. Thank you.
All righty, on to the president's report. Nothing new. Thank you all for, attending and being here and helping out the library, and thank you for putting up with me as I stumbled through my first meeting.
You're doing great.
Yeah.
You're doing great.
Absolutely.
All right, item number 8, library director's report. We'll turn that over to Wendy.
Right. So statistics are looking really good. Things have been very busy with summer reading. We keep commenting to each other that this really feels like the first summer we've been at attendance numbers that were what we saw before COVID, so in 2019. I think it's a little overwhelming for some of the staff that didn't work here then, but the rest of us are all sort of recognizing it as like, no, this is what it's really like at the summer in the library. So that's been really good. The performers have gone really well. We've had big crowds, so happy about that. Yesterday, we had a program where everybody got to eat crickets that were flavored with like cheddar and jalapenos and stuff, and that was fun.
Interesting. That's
Just
it.
never know what's happening at the library. So that's really good. Moving on to facilities, the garage door has been a problem for, I'm probably close to a month now. We came in after, I believe, a power outage, or they thought it was a power outage. The breaker had blown, took a very long time to find the breaker. When they turned that back on, it did not function. Overhead door came, the fuses were blown, they replaced them, turned it on, they blew immediately again. They replaced the fuses a second time and put in a new board and turned it on, and apparently it sounded like a gunshot, and it all blew again. Then they wanted then there was a third round. No, then they wanted to replace the whole opener, so they did that, and then it blew again, and they said they didn't want to touch it again without an electrician here. Electrician came out and said it's fine, but you've got it plugged in wrong, and apparently overhead says they've had some issues with staffing and parts and things, and so they are sticking with the project, but it's not fixed yet. So what we're currently doing is Kevin gets here in the morning, opens it manually with a chain, takes like 5 minutes, it feels like, very slow process, and then we just leave it open for the day, and then the staff are closing it when they go home at night. So we will continue to do that. It is not unsafe to have it open. We have had issues with this door where it was unsafe to open and close it. The spindle is fine, it's just the mechanics of getting it up and down. So I think the quote we had 2 visits ago was $3,000, so I'm going to guess we're going to be over that, but I don't know how much. So that will come in. The chiller is up and running. We have control of it completely now. That took a little while, but it seems, and we're right now really just monkeying with the schedule. So for the old chiller, we had to run it full blast all the time because we couldn't let the building either heat up or cool down depending on the season because we couldn't get it back to a normal temperature. So we are now back to realizing that we can maybe change things overnight. But also realizing when it's 95 degrees during the day that there's only so much you can do that. So we're kind of tinkering with it, but things seem really good. Happy about that. We are working on the conference room. We're adding a staff conference room over in the art gallery area, and we are looking at the design of the wall. We're gonna have to build out the existing wall a little bit to meet it. We've got tables ordered. We're waiting on chairs until we know where the budget is going to hit. And then we're looking at the wall can only go out because it's not a structural wall. It has to be 18 inches from the ceiling. So we're looking at some kind of baffling for noise containment in there. So, but yeah, so far that's going good. I think we don't also know what the airflow is going to be in there. We have an air return, but not a vent. Something. So I think we're looking at maybe ceiling fans in there to get some air moving. So we'll look at some different things, but I'm happy to have that moving because that took a little while to get going. For personnel, I had planned last September to have Sarah Olson, the HR manager, come to the next meeting in August to talk about my review. So as the new president, you'll be in charge of that process. And I just wanted to kind of go over the forms that we use, how the city does it. We essentially, the board does my review, gives it to Sarah. She has to somehow manage to jam it into the software in a way that it wasn't meant to go. And so I thought it would be helpful to have a conversation, all of us together, about how it would work better for her and for us. She's no longer able to come to that meeting, so I think what we're going to try to do is set up a meeting with Patrick, with you, with Toby, with me, and with Sarah, so we don't have a quorum, but we can kind of go over like how it should work. There are forms that were put together by Stephen Arnold, who was the president before Toby, I think Google Forms. So I think we just need to see if that's updated and if that's everything that we need. So I will be sending out some sort of scheduling email just to the four of us to see if we can get that checked off before, because we'll have to start working on that, I think, in September.
Yeah, if we need to update that, that's fine. I helped Toby out
Yeah.
a little bit with the last one.
Okay,
'cause it was,
perfect, perfect.
Already starting to fall apart.
Yeah.
So,
I think, and I don't know if there's a way to fix this, I think the issue that Sarah runs into is that what she ends up with is a decimal point for each score, but what the software can take is a whole number.
if that's the only problem, that's super easy.
Yeah,
Right.
so I think we just
Yeah.
need to be sitting in the same place and
Okay.
talking about it. So,
Sure. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I'll be sending out an email about that. We also are going to have a medical leave coming up for our full-time custodian, and I think we may be asking to do a budget amendment to reallocate some fund balance to bring in some contract cleaning. He's going to be out for, we think, 2 months, which is, I think, too long for us to try to get through. Like the other custodian that we have, that we share with City Hall, is already full-time, so there's no extra hours there. So
Oh, yes.
I'm going to run that by, even if we could just have them in like 4 days a week to do bathrooms, that would be a huge help. So I need to run that by the finance department and get that moving, but I think that's probably coming in the future.
Good call.
Strategic planning has not gone anywhere yet. We are still waiting on the city process. There are a couple of events next week for council and for department heads to move forward on the city's strategic plan, which then I think will inform our strategic plan. So that will be coming. That's all I have.
Awesome. Any questions or comments for Wendy? If there are none, thank you, Wendy.
Yes.
On to item number 9, announcements. The next library board meeting will be Wednesday, August 21st at 5:30 in this room.
Yep.
And if there's nothing else, I will make the motion to adjourn. And I have a second.
Don't need it?
Don't need it. All right, don't need a motion.
No, you need the motion, but not-
Sorry, right.
Yes, yeah.
All in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye. Aye.
All right.
Excellent.
Motion
Thank you.
passes. Thank you.